Tonight from Tel Aviv, the breaking news, the history we witnessed right here in the Middle East today. The 20 surviving hostages coming home. The powerful images unfolding on this day. Tears of joy and relief. The remaining hostages reunited with their families tonight, ending a 2-year nightmare. Twin brothers kept apart in captivity, reuniting today. The young woman seen by millions, abducted from that music festival on a motorcycle, screaming for her boyfriend as he was taken away by Hamas too. That couple back together for the first time tonight. And just before their release, some of the hostages FaceTiming their parents today. Hamas fighters visible in some of those videos, what they told their parents. Israel tonight releasing hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. The ceasefire, a defining moment for President Trump, and what he acknowledges about the road ahead. Our team across the region tonight. Meantime, back in the U.S. this evening, the deadly nor'easter still slamming the Northeast. A woman in New York City killed. Rain and dangerous winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Alerts up again tonight from the Carolinas right up through New York. Ginger Z standing by with the forecast. The deadly plane crash right onto an interstate that's playing out during the nor'easter. The plane hitting a car. Tonight here, the government shutdown, day 13, no end in sight. Thousands of federal workers have been fired. And what Speaker Mike Johnson is now saying about Obamacare subsidies meant to keep health care costs down. Tonight, the measles outbreak affecting 2 elementary schools. More than 150 unvaccinated students told to quarantine after being exposed. The scene on the tarmac, a ground crew member losing control of a refueling hose, the nozzle spraying jet fuel under an American Airlines passenger plane. Tonight, the NFL now investigating the fight breaking out after the Lions-Chiefs game. And this evening here, what the player who started it is now saying. And news tonight about Diane Keaton, the sudden loss of an acting giant so beloved, what's now being reported about her health.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, reporting tonight from Tel Aviv, Israel.
And good evening tonight from Tel Aviv on this historic day. After 2 years in captivity, the final 20 surviving hostages have been released by Hamas. They are back home in Israel tonight. President Trump was here in the region. It was the U.S.-led ceasefire that helped get both sides to this pivotal moment. President Trump in Israel speaking to Parliament, and in Egypt with leaders from all over the world as he landed here. The hostage reunions were just underway. The scenes playing out all day in Israel, former hostages wrapped in the arms of their families, the joy, the tears of relief. Crowds cheering and waving Israeli flags as a hostage convoy drives outside a military base near Gaza. But amid the celebrations, the somber moments too, as the first caskets carrying the remains of some of the 28 hostages who died arrive in Israel. But only 4 bodies have been reportedly returned so far. Thousands of Palestinian prisoners released by Israel as part of this ceasefire. For President Trump, a defining moment on the world stage. The president surrounded by world leaders, leaders of the Arab world, and many of America's closest allies, signing the ceasefire deal in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt. The president declaring the war in Gaza over, praising a, quote, historic dawn of a new Middle East. But he knows many questions remain about what comes next here. Still, on this day, the release of these hostages has been historic. With the sun rising across the region this morning, there was hope that today would bring an end to a brutal nightmare. After 738 days, 2 years of waiting and praying, the crucial window was here. The final surviving hostages were finally coming home. Early this morning, the first signs. Hamas beginning to hand over the 20 remaining living hostages to the Red Cross. Vans driving the hostages out of Gaza City, the first group to cross back into Israel. Crowds lining the streets, cheering, waving the Israeli flag, hoping for their first glimpse of the hostages. Good morning, everyone, from Tel Aviv. We were live on the air 1:35 a.m. this morning, 8:35 here in Tel Aviv, as the first of the hostages were being returned. At this moment, the first of the remaining 48 hostages, 20 of whom are believed to still be alive, are now being released by Hamas. Hostage Omri Miran stepping out of the Red Cross van. His wife, Lishay Miran, watching for her husband, and then she sees him. Overjoyed, her husband was finally coming home. The Israeli military releasing these images, the first of the hostages back safely in Israeli custody. Ron Brzezowski wiping away tears. Twin brothers Gali and Ziv Berman, both 28 now, both taken captive by Hamas, held apart from one another, now reunited and hugging, given uniforms of their favorite soccer team, the Maccabi Tel Aviv. The brothers inseparable before October 7th, working together as lighting technicians before being taken hostage. The Red Cross van doors opening, revealing more of the Israeli hostages inside. Guy Gilboa Dalal waving, smiling to the crowd, holding up the Israeli flag, making a heart with his hands. The family of hostage Elkanah Botbat cheering and dancing after receiving a video of their son ahead of his release. His parents then speaking to him. He tells them everything is okay. Then other hostages began FaceTiming their families, still being held by Hamas, but just moments from being freed. In many of the calls, Hamas fighters still standing right next to them. This mother, Julie Cooperstein, speaking to her 23-year-old son, Bar, a Hamas fighter seen right there, staring into the camera with her son. The mother of hostage Matan Zangaukar, speaking with her son moments before his release. She tells him, the war is over. You are on your way home. In Tel Aviv's Hostage Square, we witnessed the thousands gathering all weekend here. They were there again first thing this morning, anxiously waiting. Then, the jubilation. The tears as the first prisoners were set free. That son, Elkanah Botbat, reuniting with his wife, Rivka. Eitan Horn reuniting with his family. Kisses from his mother. 21-year-old Nimrod Cohen reuniting with his family. His mother saying to him, my hero son. 24-year-old Evyatar David back with his parents. His arms around their shoulders as they told the rest of the family he was home. Guy Gilboa Dalal, who you saw waving from that van, not long after, he was back with his family. And that mother, Julie Cooperstein, who had spoken to her son Bar with that Hamas fighter right next to him, now with her son again, the hugs and the tears. Omri Miron, who you saw stepping out of that Red Cross van, now reunited with his two young daughters, Ronnie and Alma, just 4 and 2, playing with them. Overnight, their mother had shared this image of the girls smiling, their suitcases packed, with the caption, prepared and ready for daddy. There were so many heart-wrenching images from the October 7th attack. You may remember Noah Argamani on the back of a motorcycle, screaming for help, being driven away. Reaching out to her boyfriend, Avinatan Or, his hands held behind his back, being marched away. The video of their abduction was seen by millions around the world. Noah Argamani was rescued by the IDF last year. Her boyfriend was still being held. Tonight, they are back together. That hug at long last, and a kiss. But tonight here, this day for many, bittersweet. As part of the ceasefire deal, Hamas agreed to return the remaining bodies of the hostages who were killed, including 2 Americans, Omer Nutra and Itai Hen. Tonight, the remains of only 4 hostages have been returned so far. Some of those remains carried in a convoy, sent for identification before being returned to the families. Overnight here in Hostage Square, we met this man wearing the face of his father on his shirt. Rotem Cooper was waiting for his 85-year-old father's remains to be returned. Both of his parents were taken captive by Hamas. His mother was released soon after, but he never saw his father, Amram, again. And late this evening here, he told us his father's remains still have not been returned. He wishes he was one of the families who could now, finally, hold a funeral.
The lucky one, so to speak, which is a weird thing to say, that you're going to be going to a funeral. Okay, that's the best you can expect.
As part of this historic exchange, Israel agreeing to release nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, most of them detained since the start of the war. Red Cross buses passing through the rubble in Gaza to pick them up. The detainees driven back into town. loved ones hugging each other through the bus windows. And here on the ground, the first of the Israeli hostages were being returned just as President Trump touched down here in Israel. Many of the families of the hostages crediting the president with applying pressure on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to end the war and to help bring the hostages home. But there remains here a very challenging road ahead. More than 67,000 Palestinian lives were lost, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. And hundreds of thousands are now marching north, only to find their homes gone. Today, President Trump invited to Israeli parliament to speak, telling Prime Minister Netanyahu, "You've won. The war is over. Now it is time for peace and prosperity." And in Gaza, the president acknowledging a monumental task ahead.
After tremendous pain and death and hardship, now is the time to concentrate on building their people up instead of trying to tear Israel down. We don't want that to happen again.
While tonight on the ground here for the Israeli families who waited more than 2 years for this moment, a nightmare finally over. And one more reunion. Eitan Moore, now back in the arms of his parents. It was truly something here today. So many parents embracing their children who are now home. After speaking before the Israeli parliament, President Trump then traveled to Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, where leaders gathered from all over the world, all of them well aware of this monumental task ahead. So let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, with me right here in Tel Aviv. Mary, you were on the air with me today as the president was speaking from Egypt, acknowledging the challenging road ahead. Let's listen.
The first steps to peace are always the hardest, and today we've taken them and we've put them all together. I intend to be a partner in securing a better future. We're going to be working, you're going to be working with the United States, and we're going to make sure that the Middle East is going to be a safe and secure place.
Mary, the president rightly getting a lot of credit for getting Israel and Hamas to this moment, but he also knows the world is watching what comes next year.
He does, David. Some real challenges ahead, but the president today celebrating this historic victory. And he did play a pivotal role in this deal, putting tremendous pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu. The president today declaring the hard part is done, that the war is over. But Netanyahu hasn't gone that far, and Israel and Hamas have yet to agree on what comes next. And there are monumental hurdles ahead. Will Hamas disarm? How will they secure and rebuild Gaza? And who will ultimately govern it? The president today notably did not mention a two-state solution, even though his 20-point peace plan says it could pave the way to a Palestinian state. Tonight, Trump has the buy-in of critical leaders in the region who were with him there at that peace summit in Egypt as he signed this deal. The challenge now, David, how to turn this momentum into lasting peace. David.
Mary Bruce with me here in Tel Aviv tonight. Mary, thank you. Meantime, back in the U.S. at this hour, the deadly nor'easter that continues to slam the Northeast. A woman in New York City killed, and rain and winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour from the Carolinas to New York, right up into New England. A house in Buxton, North Carolina, in danger of collapse tonight. Alerts up this evening from the Carolinas up through New York once again. So Ginger Z is standing by with the forecast, and ABC's Matt Rivers tonight, right outside New York City.
Tonight, at least one dead as a powerful nor'easter pounds the coast with monster waves, powerful winds, and torrential rain. Streets swamped from Ocean City, Maryland to the Jersey Shore.
This storm absolutely battering the beach here in Ocean Grove. You can see these waves coming ashore behind me. Incredibly intense winds combined with high tide, making for dangerous conditions up and down the coast.
In New York City, a 76-year-old woman killed after a wind gust blew a solar panel off a carport and sent it sailing in Brooklyn. Winds gusting over 50 miles an hour on New York's Long Island, snapping massive trees. Hundreds of flights canceled, thousands delayed across the Northeast. And as the system slowly spins off the East Coast, effects still being felt from Massachusetts to the Carolinas. Meanwhile, in the West, a separate system brought on by remnants of Hurricane Priscilla. First responders in Tucson using a ladder truck to save this driver. In Maricopa County, using a helicopter to rescue another driver trapped by floodwaters. A new system moving into the West tonight.
And David, the state of emergency still in place here in New Jersey, so we're going to be feeling the effects of this storm for some time. High winds, rough seas, and the threat of coastal flooding with each new high tide. David?
Matt Rivers again tonight. Matt, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z tracking the storm again this evening for us. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, David. We've seen reports of high water rescues on the Jersey Shore in just the last few hours. So the water has been pushing at the Jersey Shore at coastal Delaware, where that low has been sitting all day. It has barely moved. It will move away by tomorrow night, but not before it pushes a lot more water. When it coincides with high tide, that's bad news. Up through parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, even high surf advisories up to Maine. What I will tell you is timing-wise, the wind gusts will get better by tomorrow morning, and then by tomorrow night, you can forget this thing was ever with us, and the winds will be under 20. By the way, that low that's going down the coast of California, mostly concerned about those burn scars that are in Southern California from fires, David.
Ginger Z with us here on a Monday night. Ginger, thank you. And during these storms, there was a deadly plane crash right onto an interstate. This playing out during the nor'easter in Massachusetts. The small plane going down on I-195 in Dartmouth shortly after takeoff. 2 people on board killed, the plane hitting a car, that driver injured, but is expected to recover. It is still unclear tonight if weather was to blame. Tonight, day 13 of the government shutdown, no end in sight. Thousands of federal workers have been fired. And what Speaker Mike Johnson is now saying tonight about Obamacare subsidies meant to keep health care costs down for millions. Here's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, as the government shutdown heads into its 3rd week, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson today with a stark warning.
We're barreling toward one of the longest shutdowns in American history.
The longest shutdown was during the first Trump administration and lasted 35 days. The House Speaker said Democrats can end the shutdown tomorrow, calling their hard line on extending the Obamacare subsidies to keep health care costs for millions from rising a boondoggle. Democratic leadership not budging.
People are facing these dramatically increased premiums, co-pays, and deductibles because of the Republicans' continued refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
Millions of federal workers have now received their last paycheck, and the White House using the shutdown to fire more than 4,000 federal workers, including many inside the Department of Education, where sources say the special education staff has been decimated. Jackie Castillo-Blaber, a mother of 2 children with disabilities, called the cuts a gut punch.
Every minute counts for these kids, and they already have gaps, and the delay in services makes those gaps become impossible hurdles for them.
And tonight, we are learning that the Trump administration is working to reverse the firings of about 130 CDC employees who were let go by mistake due to a coding error, David.
Rachel Scott tonight. Rachel, thank you. When we come back here, the alarming news on measles tonight. More than 150 unvaccinated students at 2 elementary schools have now been told to quarantine. Also, look at this, the stunning sight on the tarmac, a worker losing control of a refueling hose under an American Airlines plane. And the news tonight about beloved actress Diane Keaton, what's now being reported about her health in those final months. Tonight here, troubling new data on measles in the U.S. Health officials tracking 1,563 cases so far, the highest since 1992. In South Carolina, measles exposures at 2 elementary schools. Officials now urging more than 150 unvaccinated students in Spartanburg to quarantine. At Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, a ground worker losing control of a fuel hose. The worker appearing to lose his grip while refueling an American Eagle plane, spraying fuel everywhere. American Airlines tonight telling ABC News it is looking into this incident. And when we come back here tonight, there's news about beloved actress Diane Keaton, what's now being reported about her health in her final months. To the index tonight, the NFL disciplining a Detroit Lions safety after that fight last night. Brian Branch suspended without pay for 1 game for fighting with the Chiefs in Kansas City. It erupted after he slapped another player, Branch calling his own actions childish. The tributes continue for actress Diane Keaton tonight. A source now telling People magazine that Keaton's health took a sharp turn in recent months and that she declined very suddenly. Tonight, director Nancy Myers, who directed Keaton in Something's Gotta Give, saying, quote, "We have lost a brilliant actress who time and again laid herself bare to tell our stories." Taylor Swift fans are excited tonight. Swift is bringing 2 new projects to Disney+. A 6-episode docuseries on the Eras Tour. Swift is also dropping a full concert film from the final stop of her tour in Vancouver. Fans can catch both projects beginning December 12th on Disney+. When we come back here tonight, a final note on this historic day here. Before we go from Tel Aviv, so many parents who never gave up. Matan Zangaukar reuniting with his mother for the first time in 2 years. Omri Miron hugging his wife after being released. Elkanah Bopat held by his mother and his brother. And in Gaza, a Palestinian child hugging a prisoner freed by Israel as part of today's exchange. An historic day here, and for so many families, a 2-year nightmare finally over. I'm David Muir in Tel Aviv. Good night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 3rd year in a row.